Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to explore a really powerful teaching from the Bhagavad Gita, one that might just change the way you see, well, everything. And it all kicks off with a pretty interesting little puzzle.
So you have Lord Krishna, who is seen as the ultimate perfect divine teacher. And he's about to repeat a lesson that he's already taught his student Arjuna. Now, doesn't that seem a little odd? I mean, if the teacher is perfect and the student is totally dedicated, why would you need to say it all over again? This question, believe it or not, is the very key that unlocks the incredible teaching we're about to get into.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll set the scene for this divine repetition. Then, we'll dig into exactly why the lesson needed repeating. After that, we'll uncover this great illusion that makes the truth so hard to see. Then comes the good part, the amazing power that comes from seeing divine glory everywhere. And finally, we'll talk about how to bring all of this into your actual everyday life. Okay, so let's set the stage. Krishna is getting ready to go deeper on a massive truth for Arjuna, the truth of divine unity. He's mentioned it before, but this time he's really spelling it out. And the fascinating thing is, the reasons he gives for repeating himself are actually a huge part of the lesson.
And that brings us right to the why. You see, this isn't just Krishna hitting the replay button. There are four really specific, really profound reasons for this divine do-over.
So here they are, the four keys. Number one, the subject they're talking about is just incredibly difficult. Two, learning isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a process. It builds over time. Three, the student, Arjuna, is totally hooked, and that really matters. And four, well, the teacher's qualifications are, let's just say, unmatched.
Let's start with just how complex this topic is. Trying to understand the fundamental nature of reality and God, it's not like scanning the morning news. You can't just read it once and say, okay, got it. It's way more like trying to understand a super dense technical scientific paper. It takes focus, you have to read it again, and you probably need a good coach. On top of that, most of us come in with a bunch of preconceived notions we have to unlearn first, which makes it even trickier.
And that leads right into the second point. Learning is progressive. Think about it. As we grow and our minds mature, the same words can hit us with a completely different, much deeper meaning. It's like rereading a favorite book 10 years later and finding all this new wisdom you missed the first time. The learning has to keep going until that spiritual hunger, that ignorance, is completely satisfied. Just like you have to keep eating until you're not physically hungry anymore.
Now, the last two reasons are just as crucial. Krishna can see that Arjuna is completely captivated, leaning in, wanting more. And that inspires him as a teacher. But maybe the most important reason of all is, who else is qualified to talk about the Creator? Only the Creator himself, right? Everyone and everything else is just part of the creation. Krishna, as the divine source, is literally the only one who can give an authentic explanation of his own nature.
So, what is this incredible teaching that needs so much careful explanation? It's really one single core idea, an idea that's often hidden from us by what you could call the world's great illusion.
Okay, here it is, the core teaching in a nutshell. God isn't just the intelligent force behind the universe. God is also the raw material of the universe. So what does that mean? It means that everything, and I mean everything, that you can see and touch, the chair you're in, the screen you're looking at, your own body, in its most fundamental substance is God. There is nothing that is not God. So why on earth is that so hard for us to see? Because we get completely lost in names and forms. We look at a jewelry store and we see rings, necklaces, bracelets. We don't just see a bunch of gold. And look, these labels are useful. We draw lines on a map and call one piece of dirt India and another America. It works for us. But we forget that India isn't some separate thing. It's just Earth. Our whole world is built on these names and forms, and they hide the single underlying reality.
This brings us to a really powerful shift in mindset. Think about a burglar in that same jewelry shop. He doesn't care if it's an earring or a crown. He sees one thing and one thing only: gold. He sees the value in the underlying substance. To really see the world as it is, we have to kind of develop that same focus, looking right past all the distracting labels to see the one divine substance in everything.
Now, understanding this intellectually is one thing, but to really feel it in your bones, Krishna gives us a practical method. He describes his divine glories to help us shift our perception. And when we do, it comes with 7 incredible, genuinely life-changing benefits.
So, by meditating on the divine glory you can see in everything, you reinforce this knowledge. But it gets even better. This practice starts to systematically take apart the very things that cause us to suffer, our negative emotions, our ego, our jealousy. It literally expands your mind, helps you handle the ups and downs of life, and in the end, it brings you to this profound feeling of oneness.
Let's make this super practical. Imagine you're driving, and some guy just cuts you off. Your first reaction is probably, what? Anger, right? Irritation. But what if, in that exact moment, you could remember to see that person not as some jerk, but as another expression of the exact same divine source that you are? Suddenly, the whole situation changes. Your irritation can actually turn into acceptance. Not because you're okay with bad driving, but because you're seeing something much, much deeper.
Okay, let's talk about the big one, ego. We all feel proud of what we accomplish, right? Our skills, our success. But when you really truly absorb the idea that God is the single cause behind it all, the intelligence you used, the opportunities that showed up, the strength you had, then what is there for me to be proud of? The whole structure of the ego, which is built on the idea of I did this, just starts to dissolve.
But here's a really beautiful and subtle point. This isn't about crushing your ego or feeling like you're worthless. Not at all. An ego that's developed through hard work and real accomplishments is like a mango that grows big and ripe on the tree. A tiny, green, unripe mango isn't much of an offering, is it? It's that strong, developed, ripened ego that when you finally offer it up to the divine, becomes a truly meaningful gift. This next one is seriously profound. Life is full of opposites, isn't it? Good things and bad things, sacred and evil, order and chaos. Our natural instinct is to praise one and condemn the other. But Krishna makes a mind-bending declaration. He is the source of both. If we only see the good stuff as divine, we're putting a limit on the divine. Understanding this allows us to face both good fortune and total disaster with a sense of balance, seeing them as two different faces of the same single reality.
And all of this leads to the ultimate destination, oneness. See, we all start out with this default view. There's me, and then there's the world out there. Two separate things. Then spiritual teachings introduce a third idea, God. The next step on the path is to see that the entire world, including your own body and mind, is just an expression of God. Now the equation is down to just me and God. The final, mind-blowing realization is that there was never any separation to begin with. There is only God.
So, we've talked about the why, the what, and all the incredible benefits. But the big question is, how do we take this huge philosophical idea and bring it down to earth, into our actual day-to-day lives? Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a cool concept to think about, it's a practice. It's about actively, consciously reminding yourself, moment by moment, to look past the form and see the substance. It's about training your brain to see the unity behind all the diversity in every single conversation with every single person you meet.
And that really leaves us with one final, powerful question to take with us. If you were to truly live from this place, if you genuinely saw every single person, every object, and every event as an expression of one divine reality, what would actually change for you tomorrow? How would you walk differently? How would you talk differently? How would you see the world? That's the real homework this teaching gives us.